explain those jobs? So you're saying you laid rails and all that. Well, what's the go there? So you're you're a roadheader operator. You cut that tunnel out, but you laid everything behind.
I was a roadheader operator for the actual decline. We had to put an access decline in, and then we did this great big. I took off for another job. Then they'd started this pump station, and then I came back as I finished in the big pump station, and then we had a little side tunnel that went out. It went down to the continental shelf, and then it did a turn. It went along the coast to the bottom, and then it went out under the continental shelf for 2 k's.
Continental shelf. So you're out in the ocean.
Under the ocean, yeah. And in those days, they had no lasers and they had no satellite navigation or anything. And they brought this amazing job. They brought this drill rig down from the Southeast Asia, an oil rig, and they had triangulation stations all along Watson's Bay. They had 3 of them. And they worked out where all the good ground was. They put a probe hole in good, so then put a big steel case on in there, and then they put the fiberglass riser in the ocean floor. They put 22 of these in, and there was one at the very end, way off to the side because they couldn't fit it anywhere else. So then we came along this little tunnel alongside it all, and the guys came in with the plumb bobs and survey, and they said 30 degrees that way. That's where your riser is, and they're filled with fluorescein, a green dye. So we put a probe drill out.
It's almost like follow that star.
Yeah. And hopefully they're right. But we would drill, and sure enough, the green dye would come out. And then we would cut away, and then sure enough, we'd hit the big fiberglass riser. But the fiberglass risers, they were in this grout. And when you went to jack pick it out, it was like jack picking through glass. And I remember one day, I'm just jack picking away there, and it was, I got the boys to make up a saddle around the jack pick so we could put on air leaks so we could brr, brr, and we'd put a mound of dirt there and we'd dig away. And one day a rock come down and it hit my hat and it scratched my hat and it scratched my glasses and it scratched my face mask, but I didn't think much of it. But it just nicked me. But it was so bloody hot and sweaty, I bled like a stuck pig. It was just a tiny little nick, and then my mate come along, Trev, and he said, "Oh, Jesus, mate, are you all right?" I said, "What are you talking about?" "Oh, there's blood everywhere." I took my mask off. "Oh, shit." But it was just it was harmless because I had all the safety gear on.
Yeah.
But, but we had to dig these things out, and then they put the pipes in, then we had to concrete in, retreat. It was on a scale of the pyramids and just as useful. We were pushing shit out to sea.
How like, I'm trying to picture it now. How was the feeling going underground, knowing that you're under the ocean and you're cutting into these risers?
That was my first underground job, but the access decline was, so there was daylight behind you. And 50 metres in, we'd start wearing hard hats. Okay, so putting hard hat on. Cap lamps. And I'll never forget one day there, we had to extend the vent tube. It was 4 foot to 1.2 metres. We're shoving this steel tube on, and they never turned the fan off because it was too hard, because the fan was up on the surface in the dust box. Next thing, my hard hat, up the pipe. Next thing, the next morning, that's my job up there, picking all my pieces of hard hat out of the dust box because I clogged it up. But I remember this German boss looking at it. He's looking at the noise. "Oh, fucking!" Because he knew that the next day the dust box wasn't going to be working. It's your job. You go get your fucking hard hat. Okay, I'll go get my hard hat.
Let's go through a few jobs, because you talked about the Bondi one. So what was next tunnelling job for you after that one?
Oh, after Bondi. I came back. I did a lot of mining and stuff, Telfer. Oh, let me think. I know there was the S1 in Brisbane. I think there was something. I think S1 was the first one. Next one.
What's the S1 mean?
S1 was a sewage tunnel, and it's in the main. There's a shaft in the middle of it all, and it was an EPBM going one way, earth pressure balance machine through the mud, and with segmental lining. And then the other direction, it was beam machines, which is hard rock with bolts and mesh.
Explain the EPB. Oh, this is interesting because...
earth pressure balance, basically you have, in layman's terms, your TBM cuts, but you keep the TBM head full of mud, because it's just basically mud. And if you took the dirt out, it all collapsed. So you keep it pressurised. There's a certain amount of... Sometimes you put bentonite in there and you keep it pressurised, and you keep it to the point where the machine just can't cut anymore. And then when you want to advance, you turn the screw on. The screw conveyor pulls the mud out so the machine can push forward. So that's how you stop it from collapsing.
Yeah. So
So it's
where would
earth-
they use, like shit ground, muddy ground,
Yeah.
going under?
Well, this is under
Underwater?
mangroves. This is under mangroves out by the hotel there. What's it called on the water there?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was mud that way, and it was hard rock the other way. So, so the boys had just, as the machine advanced, they just put a piece of mesh up, split sets. Then when we finished, we retreated and we had steel forms and we concreted that into shape.
Yeah.
After we came
What
back.
diameter?
It was about 2.4 metres of finished lining. I think the beam machine was 3 metres, and the EPB obviously put the segments in as they went, so that was 2.4 fully lined.
Yeah. Right.
Just basically a glorified shit pipe.
Yeah. And you were IC for that?
They called us IV in those days, similar thing, independent verifier. So that was my job that was my first job as a verifier.
So how'd that come about? Like you were.
Jack Power rang me up. A lot of people that know Jack. He's long gone now, poor bugger. He died a little while back. But he rang me up and he said, "There's a job going as an independent verifier, as a surveillance officer." I said, "Oh yeah."
What'd you say? What's that?
Oh, I knew what it was because what he did. I said, "Do you think I could do it?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Of course you can." And he said, "I'll ask you some questions." And he said, "What would you do if such and such happened?" "I do this." "What would you do if such and such happened?" "I do that." "What if this happened?" "I do that." He said, "Yep, that's all you need to know." And he said, "Don't worry, we'll get you started." And he was good.
Like the interview for the roadheader.
Yeah. Oh, it was really... The bloke that interviewed me, and he gave me the job in the end, he died of... He had bowel cancer, poor bugger. I didn't know. So, the first week on the job, I cracked this joke, biggest problem with bowel cancer is finding a hat and shoes to match. Oh, God. The bloke would tap you on the shoulder. "Don't crack that joke again." So, okay, no worries. But yeah, look, I was rough, I was green, and there was a good friend of mine, Bill Edwards. He helped me along, and he really mentored me, and with Jack Power as well. They were best buds, and they basically helped me whip me into shape, and because I was a bit of soft touch in those days, because I was going from being one of the boys to overseeing the boys. So yeah, there was a bit of a transition where you had to earn the respect, and I was a bit scared and a bit green, but that worked out all right in the end.
So how do you do it? How do you do that? Because that's hard for anyone, like even a shift boss moving up.
Oh, look, if the blokes, you earn the respect and you get it back, and the blokes, they know that you've got their best interest at heart. You're not there to ruin their day, but you're there to make sure the taxpayer gets value for money. I suppose one way of earning the respect was because I was one of them in the past. I'm not some bloke that sits in an office and passes down memos and stuff. I'm down there with them. And also, I was like on Botany Gas Caverns. I was the union rep, and yeah, we did. There was nothing hard asked or anything. We just did a good job. And we did good work, and we made good money. And like even there, we had a lot of fun. I remember it's long gone now, but this inspector turned up and he said, "I noticed there are alcohol bottles in your rubbish." "Oh, yes." He said, "I don't think I should see them next time I come." He didn't say no drinking on site. Because I did, we used to have, and most crews did it. At the end of the week, we'd all chip in $5 each or something, and I'd go down to the markets. If it chip in $10, I'd go to the fish markets, and I'd grab a whole pile of seafood, and then on the Friday night we'd have a big cook-up. And then the boys would, instead of bringing booze into the site, they'd be hidden in one of the vans, and they'd go out and they'd all chug, back out of the van, eat some food, back into the van, chug. Yeah, so we had a lot of these parties, and so the guys used to chug down the booze outside, because the thing is, that was another thing, the booze culture. The old, that'll cost you a carton. You can't do that anymore, because if somebody pays up a carton for something and everybody drinks at the end of the job and then gets hurt on the way home,
Yeah.
company's liable, so you can't do that anymore.
I know from my experience too, like working out in the mines and being out in camps, and the camps are tightened up now, but
Yeah.
Coming into the cities and working in tunnelling and having pubs right next to the job.
Oh no, we got zero tolerance now.
Yeah.
You cannot go 1% alcohol. You cannot go any kind of alcohol, any kind of drug in your system, and simple as that. Our clients now require absolute zero tolerance.
Yeah. I remember Cross City Tunnel. That was my first tunnel job, and we used to do shift work for there, obviously, but Jess, my wife, used to come and pick me up. She used to love coming and pick me up after day shift, and would go for a wander around the cross because it was all new to us back then, but it was quite a
Wide-eyed
nice
kids having a look
little-
around there.
yeah, and walk around up through there and down to Woolloomooloo and have dinner out in a bloody restaurant. So yeah, different from the mines, obviously.
Oh yeah, but look, when I started in the like my first isolated job was Golden Grove, and there was no fly in, fly out. You drove in, and you stayed there till the job was finished, and then you left. I left a bit early because I was enjoying the booze too much, but you'd walk into the bar and you'd get we called them beer tokens. It was when dollar coins first came out, and it was $1 for a can of Emu. So you'd grab your half a case, plonk it on the table, everybody all guzzle in. Next bloke will walk in, and you just keep drinking all day, all night when you're knocked off. And there was no breath test the next day, but I realised that driving to Winder, you could not afford to be half cut the next day, so I cut it right back. But I was still enjoying myself too much. But that was a good job, great blokes, real camaraderie. But it was. God, you come in the next morning, passing through on the way to go and grab yourself a breakfast, and all the cans would be on the table, and the tables would be just cans from arsehole to breakfast time. And there's only about 15 of them you were drinking them, so there was a lot of booze went down.
Yeah.
But I remember one of the mates called the new dollar coin. It was new dollar coin at the time. He called them beer tokens because it was $1 for a can of. But I was drinking $300 a week. We'd get all the money put in the bank, and then you get a fortnight, and then you get you get so much cash brought to site. And I was buying toothpaste, soap, and beer, and I didn't need much toothpaste. I didn't need much, and I'm thinking, I'm buying a lot of beer here. There's a lot of booze. And the boss, if you did a good job, the boss would walk in with the cart. Good on you, boys. Plonk it in front of you.
Yeah.
If you had a good shift.
Yeah.
Nowadays, they'd breath test you. Oh, mate, you were zero. You better have half a dozen tans. Get through the day.
Give you a voucher to Woolworths.
Oh, mate. And then Olympic Dam amazed me. You say to the guys at the induction, you say, you will get drug tested. Yeah. Absolutely guarantee you get drug tested. Yeah. So, mate comes back for his first swing. He comes back and he fails a drug test. Because you can't go through the turnstile. You flip your card and it won't let you in. So the phone rings, yes, come in, bloke around and test you. So the boss rings up. He says, take old mate back to his room, will you? He's failed the drug test. It's geez, that's strange. It's his first swing. And he looked like a pretty decent sort of young bloke. And because what they do is they'd send you back to your room for 3 days, and they send the parallel test off to Adelaide for full testing. And if you failed, you're out. You got a window seat. If you passed, you got to get paid for that 3 days and went back to work. So the boss said, go and get him, take him back to his room. So I'm driving along. So, what happened? I said, what'd you go for? He said, methamphetamine. I said, Jesus. I thought, okay, I can understand someone, a bit of passive hooch smoking or something. I said, how'd you get methamphetamine in your system? He said, well, I had a fucking big weekend, didn't I? I thought, you fucking goose. I rang the boss. I said, don't worry about 3 days, mate. Just put him on the plane.
Yeah. Let's go from after the sewer tunnel then. What's your next tunnelling job after that? Where do we head up?
I did. I went back. I went to Olympic Dam. Went after the sewage tunnel. I went up to Gunpowder for a while, and then I went to Osborne Mine as a safety trainer, underground safety trainer, and then Olympic Dam.
Hang on, safety trainer. What do you mean? What's a safety trainer?
In mining, and it's a pretty good policy. They believe if you're trained up properly in the first place, then the safety tends to look after itself. That's how much it's changed, and it is good. So
like a trainer and assessor, you're talking.
Yeah,
right.
So I did my Cert 4 and all that sort of stuff. And I worked at, like I said, Gunpowder. And then after Gunpowder I went to Osborne. And then after Osborne I went to Olympic Dam. And then my diabetes started playing up. And my mother was pretty crook. And my sister had to bury my father when he died. And I thought, well, I better get back home. So I jagged a job on the Clem 7 tunnel here in Brisbane. And... So I ended up there with the independent certifier, and that was a good job. Saw that right through, basically, right through till I was there on the day they had the public walkthrough, and it felt really weird walking through that tunnel without a hard hat on.
Yeah.
And then the very next day I started on Airport Link, and I worked Airport Link till a job came up at Legacy Way, and then I went straight to Legacy Way. And then after Legacy Way, I spent 7 months doing bugger all. And then I went down to Sydney on North West Rail. And then from North West Rail straight over to M4 East, the road tunnel. And then straight from there to this one, Metro 2 they call it now, which is a Metro Southwest something or other. But yeah, the first two my two machines have broken through now, so we're just back to finishing cross passages, concrete lining the invert, defect repairs. When I say defect repairs, I don't mean the whole place is falling in, just minor cracks and leaks and stuff here and there. And there's good people doing good work there, so we'll get that done pretty quick. And a lot of concrete work now, the railway stations and all that sort of stuff. So
Can we shoot back to Clem? Give me a bit of an insight into what you did there, and then what did you think of the job? And
Clem was my first TBM tunnel or any kind of with the TBM, and I had to learn fast.
where were you? At Bowen Hills, stationed there, eh?
I was stationed we're down in South Bank. We had an office.
Oh yeah.
But I could drive the car through there, so I had a company ute I could drive through. And it was good because they let me, because I had a safety training background, I could take 3 people maximum down, but I had to do an induction on it.
Yeah.
And but my trouble was one of our co-companies, our joint venture companies, boss would ring up, I've got this vice president wants to look around. Yeah, okay. And he kept ringing up, I've got this vice president. And I thought, shit, how many vice presidents have you got? And he said, just about everybody in our company's a vice president. Yeah. Fuck off. But no, that was a great job. That was, I learned a lot there. You had to learn on your feet pretty quick. But some of the guys...
Massive job when you think of it.
12.4 diameter, twin tunnels. There was some good people there. There was a few duds as well, but we got the job done.
Did you, just from where I was sitting and stationed, especially coming up from Sydney and working on Cross City and Lane Cove and then coming up there, that was my first TBM job too, I must admit. I didn't even know what a TBM stood for, to be honest. And anyway, got up there, started at Bowen Hills, so we're at the launch chambers there, and, going under a river, that's pretty massive, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it was a funny old setup too. They didn't use grout, they used pea gravel. And then they came and grouted afterwards. Sometimes they'd pop the plugs out and 4.5 cubes of pea gravel would fall on the deck. So they had to go and replace it with grout, which they did. But that was a big challenge. And the new, I'm not on Cross River, but they're going to be going through the same sort of real estate. But I think they've got a lot more knowledge under their belt now, hopefully. Yeah. And I don't think they'll make too many mistakes there. They're good people. Yeah. They'll do well there.
Finished Clem. The next day,
straight to Airport Link. I did the Saturday PR day, and then on Monday I started on Airport Link.
And what did you reckon? Awesome, good.
Oh look, I just love it. I'm too old to get down and get dirty anymore. I mean, but there's times have changed. There's guys down there who do some hard work. I'm not knocking them, but but it's. I mean, they do pretty good nowadays. Mm. But they in the old days it was all brawn. Now it's brain. You have to think about what you're doing, and it's not like get in and do it. You'll be right. You have to soak up a lot of knowledge for the boys that are down the hole doing it, and I respect them for that. The one I'm on now, Metro, they couldn't get blokes in their end. There was just too many jobs and not enough people. So a lot of the blokes there started green, and you would expect them to make a lot of mistakes, and they didn't. They had a few little hiccups here and there, but I was expecting a lot of mistakes and a lot of errors, but there was none. The guys, they were dead keen. They learnt quick. They knew they had to learn quick, and they did learn quick, and they did well.
What's the driving force behind that, you reckon? What can you put it down to?
Oh, 2 things. Dollars and cents. The money is absolutely phenomenal, believe me, compared to in my day. I mean, I'm not bagging these guys because they earn every penny, because they work some pretty long hours and they have to make a few sacrifices. But the money's a lot better than it used to be.
Yeah. So Airport Link, run us through that. What's your take on that one?
That was an EPBM, earth pressure balance, and that was 12.4 diameter, and that was interesting. But there was some really good people there that really knew their stuff. The superintendent there, he was no names, no pack drill, but he was very, very good at what he did. And I remember once there, we were going through this really shitty ground. And the keystone started moving. When they pulled the rams forward, the keystone from the previous ring started popping out. And everybody thought, what are we going to do here?
Explain this keystone.
Okay. The ring is nine big stones make up the ring, and then there was a 10th one was a keystone that locked it all in together.
So we're
And that was a
talking
half-size stone that was V-shaped.
Right.
So that was the last one in, and that locked it all together in a key. But the threads, when they put them all together, they bolt them together. Then when they're finished, they remove the bolts. After the grout's in and everything's settled and stable, they can remove the bolts. But each of the big segments had 2 bolts holding it in, and the little one, the keystone, only had 1. And when they went to advance, when they took the ram off it to put the next ring in, it would start moving out because they stripped the threads on the bolt. So everybody thought, oh no, we lost. This bloke came down and said, no, he'll make a simple bracket, bolt this on there, bolt that on there, bolt that there, move that around, off we go. So, yeah, that's the thing with tunnelling. If it was easy, there'd be nobody working the checkouts at Kmart. They'd all be down the hole. So there's people down there that know what they're doing and they meet the challenge. And that's one of the good things about it. And that's what I like about tunnelling is, like I saw this one young fellow, he's now a Sparky, but he was on segment repair. And every now and then you get a gasket between the segments leaks. There might be a little bit of an overlap or a bit of damage to the gasket between the segments. Each segment has a rubber gasket. Now, this guy worked out it's hard to explain, but it's a very simple little bracket you put on there. You drill this little hole through a special piece of pipe welded onto it, and it came out in exactly the right spot, and you sealed it up from behind the segment. Now, I know anybody watching this would know what I'm talking about if you're a tunneler. Everybody else, I'm sorry, it's too hard to spend all day explaining it to you. But this guy was just a segment repair guy, but he was really switched on. And he's out there now, he's a Sparky. So, Elias, g'day mate, how you going? But yeah, he was really switched on.
Yeah.
He knew exactly.
He'd done a bit before that though. You can't
I don't know. That's the first time I saw him, but he was a thinker, and that's what this game's all about. You know,
he'll like
problems
that.
And problem solving. And these guys, yeah, you got to tip your hat to some. Some guys, yeah, you get the odd blunt pick, but most of the guys, they're really switched on. They know what they're doing.
Yeah. So that airport link. So I wasn't on the TBM there. I was at Kedron.
Yeah.
Doing the cabins and that there. I didn't mind that job. It was massive to me. Like I drive through it every now and then.
Yeah.
And I look at it and I go, wow, that's massive. And I suppose every tunnel that I've worked on, I look back at with fond memories. There's always
yeah. I've worked on every tunnel in Brisbane basically. I didn't work on Set 1B. That was a bus tunnel.
What about is that Bogger Road?
Yeah, that was Boggo Road around that area. But well, I was on Clem when that was all happening anyway.
Yeah.
But that was an interesting job. One of the things about Clem, I had this boss, and he was a top bloke, and he wouldn't mind me mentioning his name, Ken Ross. He really switched on, but he was so proud of what he'd done in the past. And he said, when you drive out of Clem 7 towards the Gabba, all those bridges structures you see, he said, every one of them's got the odd hairline crack here and there. He said, but you'll notice one of them doesn't. He said, that's mine. And I said to him one day, I said, why do you care so much? He said, I don't care what happens in 100 years' time. He said, but my name matters. And he said, that's all that matters. He said, as long as you do the right thing and you haven't done damage to your name. And I thought, wow, that's something to live up to.
Mm.
And he's one of these guys, if you didn't understand something when you went into his office, by the time you left, you were full bottle. Mm. He would explain everything to you. He would not leave anything. You wouldn't doubt anything when you left. And that was the kind of bosses, really, the people you want around you. He was fantastic. He's retired. He's still alive, but he's fantastic. I still ring him now and then. He's a top bloke.
One thing that I liked about Clem is that it introduced a lot of new people to tunnelling.
Oh yeah.
In such a way, like a TBM, obviously, but then you had the roadheader side as well. So I look back at that job as introducing tunnelling to a lot of Queensland people, a lot of people that were new to the industry, and then luckily enough, like you, the next day we were able to fall straight into Airport Link, which also looked after the industry, it looked after the people, and then luckily enough,
Legacy Way, one after that, bang, 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 yeah.